Welcome to Stephen King Saturday. So, last week we did not do a Stephen King Saturday. So, this week we're doing two. And we're going to start with Needful Things, which I've not covered on the channel. And this is my first time watching the made-for-TV hour-longer cut that they did and put out on TNT. So this is like a full hour longer of footage that is, I didn't notice anything missing. It just felt like all edition. And it looked good. And this is on YouTube. I'll put it in the description box below if you want to watch this version. But it has everything from the original version that I remember. They might have cut something out. Very, very minor, very small, like seconds. But for the most part, everything is here intact. It just has an hour longer runtime. And some cool stuff, for sure. So this was exciting because this is the way I've always wanted to watch it. And you could absolutely make a master cut of the TV version with the R-rated curse words, because that's really the only thing, is that in the YouTube version, the TNT version that we watched, they cut out the curse words and fill them in. I will say this though, of all the like TV versions I've watched of a movie, and I watched a lot of them when I was a kid. They would put on like Halloween 2 and all sorts of things at night on like USA Up All Night or whatever. And they would have the worst dubbing imaginable.
Yeah.
When it went to say the F word, it would say the dumbest word, like not word,
right,
imaginable.
Yeah.
And it would be like a completely different voice, a completely different octave. It sounded nothing like the character, right? This one, the voices actually, it never felt like a different voice. It just was glaringly obvious that they were not cussing, right?
Yeah.
But even their mouths didn't mess it up that much. So I thought that they did, like, this is the best I've ever seen. I, of course, hate censorship. I don't want anything changed for any reason. Your kids shouldn't be watching it if they are. Whatever, if that's the way you want it to be. But censorship is super lame.
Yes.
But regardless of this version of TV stuff, this is actually not terrible. I want the R-rated version. I want the real words in there, sure. But this one didn't bother me, and I didn't laugh at any of them.
Yeah, I didn't laugh at any of them either, really. It just, I could tell that they were dubbed just because, like, nobody, like, says shoot, like when they, whatever, like, that's just not a common exclamation. But I hadn't seen, the regular TV version of this. This was my first time watching.
Well, this isn't a TV movie. This was a theater film. But they just had a longer version for TNT. I don't know why. I think it's TNT. I'm almost positive it is. Regardless of what network it was for, why they have such a longer cut for television, I don't know. I need to look into the history on that, on why there's like this massive director's cut for this film for television. Because, we've gotten television footage before, right? Halloween has it. And I've seen that footage. You've got the Dr. Loomis scene when he's trying to appeal to the Smiths Grove Sanitarium, and he's telling them about how dangerous Michael is. And then you've got Linda coming over to Laurie's house to borrow the blouse that she doesn't want Bob to rip later in the movie, and that actually gives context to that scene. So those kinds of things are cool, right? And then there's like the TV ending of Halloween 2, where Jimmy is in the ambulance with Laurie at the end. Obviously, in the original version, she just is like by herself, and it's like the Mr. Sandman music playing over her, kind of reflecting on the night. And in the TV version, Jimmy pops up under the sheet and is with her in the ambulance. Yeah, I don't think you can fit 2 people in the back of an ambulance, can you? From what I've ever seen, you can only fit 1 person, and then the
paramedics.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a big ass ambulance.
I've never been in an ambulance, so.
Yeah. I've never been in an ambulance either. I've been medvaced off the freeway in a helicopter.
That's a more hardcore than most people.
It is.
So.
It is. Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say I liked this movie actually quite a bit. I had a really good time watching it, and I can't compare like the additions and everything, but I feel like everything was really relevant, and I didn't feel like we spent time unnecessarily with any characters or situations. Like I liked taking the time to see how the store and
Leland
Gaunt were affecting the rest of the town, and that's kind of I don't know, I think it works really well for a Stephen King adaptation because a lot of his novels are really lengthy, and there's a lot of details that can kind of get missed when they're adapted into film or whatever. And I just think there was there was a service done by keeping it this length.
So I think what this film's version does better versus the theatrical version, and this is kind of my critique of what we were talking about when we watched Salem's Lot, and that is the building of the town as a community, and the people within it, and the threat that Leland Gaunt poses on the town, and how much it's affected everyone in the town. This is done much better in this film, in this version specifically. But even in the original version that I've seen before a few times, it's done well, but it's done even better here because we spend more time with more characters and really build a very believable town that is filled with a bunch of different casts of characters and what would comprise an actual small town in Castle Rock. So I think that this film does the town better than Salem's Lot, the Tobey Hooper one. So big shout out to this film for that, because that's one of the most important elements of a Stephen King novel.
Absolutely.
Is building community, right? Unless it's like Gerald's Game or something, which is like a smaller, intimate story, or like The Boy Who Loved Tom Gordon or stuff like that. But with something with that larger scale to it, he loves to set them in these like New England towns, right? And they always have like 30 characters, and you want to get to know all of them. Another movie that does this super well, maybe the best of any of his films, is Storm of the Century.
Yeah, that's what I told you when we finished watching Needful Things, is that it feels like a mix of Salem's Lot and Storm of the Century. Sure. But yeah, I do think that the Storm of the Century adaptation and Needful Things, this does a much better job than the Salem's Lot of showcasing the town and the community, which, as you said, is so important. And especially with both of those, with all 3 of those stories, it's like everything, is the community. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah.
But the best Stephen King-esque version of that I've ever seen is Midnight Mass.
Yes, and I was actually thinking of that like the whole time we were watching this, that it felt like Midnight Mass.
Yeah,
it really did.
If Mike Flanagan could have gotten the rights to Salem's Lot,
oh my gosh,
and did Salem's Lot as Midnight Mass, right? Yeah. Like the same kind of way he did Midnight Mass instead of Midnight Mass, because I feel like it's so similar in a lot of ways that it's like, if he could have just done that with Salem's Lot, then you'd be talking about, that might be the best Stephen King adaptation there is.
Sure. I definitely think Flanagan needs to do Stephen King stuff. More Dark Stephen Tower King stuff. Yes, Dark Tower, 1,000%. But just in general, I think that his directing style and his eye for things fits so well. with Stephen King's work. So
Pedro Pascal is the Man in Black, or the Man in Black
as
is
Roland. Yeah,
and
I don't know who else I want to cast.
I have some ideas, only because of who, but we're not here to talk about that. But because of who he casts.
Yeah.
Right? We talked about it with the girl who's the star of Midnight Club.
Yes, being...
playing Odetta.
Odetta, yeah.
Or Susanna, or whatever you want to call her. She's got a lot of different names. But anyways, okay, let's back on this. All right, so one really glaring difference between this one, or addition, should I say, because there is no difference. There's additions. So you don't. There's nothing changed that I noticed where it was like, oh, this scene is completely different. They cut it out. No. This is all just additional footage. So the biggest addition that I noticed is boom, right in the opening. The whole opening is completely added. Like, so the way that it opens in the original version is we're kind of doing this helicopter shot over some like water, establishing shot of Castle Rock, and then we follow this car, Leland Gaunt's car, the Mercedes that's driving fast, and then we cut straight to Alan Pangborn as he's going to the diner to propose to his soon-to-be fiance, and we get probably 20 minutes of new footage leading up to that, and it's like this. Leland Gaunt's car comes and smashes into the deputy's car, and Alan takes off after him. There's this huge car chase. The car wrecks. It blows up. He sees Gaunt through the flames. I thought I was going to start singing Escape the Fate there for a second. Through the smoke and flames. And then he kind of get a stare down, which I think is a phenomenal, introduction to the devil, right?
Yeah,
the devil's in the fire, and he's like, it's this first indication that there's something wrong, right? Yeah. And it has it has a feel like one of those car movies, the evil car movies of the 70s, or the 80s, like The Wraith or something, or The Car, as it's real witty title. But there's a decent amount of car movies where you never really see who's behind the wheel, or if you do, it's very limited, like Duel or something. And this just kind of had that opening, the feel of the opening felt like that, which I thought was really cool. And to have it Gaunt through the flames, and you can't really tell who he is. It even kind of leads the audience kind of being like, who the hell is that? And of course you figure it's Gaunt, right, when you see him and you meet him, but it does leave it vague for him and you, right? So I thought that was cool. And speaking of Salem's Lot, we get Bonnie Bedelia in here.
Yes.
Which she's obviously the main love interest in Salem's Lot.
Yeah.
And she's the main love interest here. So
I actually liked her a lot better in this.
Okay.
I thought I don't know what it was about her in Salem's Lot, but maybe it's just because she wasn't quite what I pictured the character to look like for some reason. I don't know. But I liked her a lot in this.
She looks more like the character than Annette O'Toole does Bev in the It miniseries.
Yeah, she does. Yeah. Yeah, that's
terrible
true.
casting.
That's true.
Terrible casting of Bev. Yeah. I worry about that casting of Bevy. I worry about it a lot. Every night. Yeah. So now Alan Pangborn is a character that pops up in a few Stephen King books, and technically, because Alan Pangborn is the sheriff of another movie that was made after this, The Dark Half, this is considered like a sequel, like The Dark Half is. So I was thinking we should watch that next. That would make sense. I know we said Return to Salem's Lot. We're going to get there. Yeah. But The Dark Half would be a cool one to discuss, because it does have the same character. And then he also is, he's also in Castle Rock, the television series. Right? He's Sissy Spacek's brother, the cop. in it.
Oh, I don't think I
That's Alan
knew
Pangborn.
that's who that was when I watched Castle Rock.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, Alan Pangborn is in a bunch, and he's in another like short story as well. But yeah, he's a reoccurring character in the Stephen King verse. So yeah, that opening car chase is cool. We get Ed Harris's return to Stephen King here as well. Obviously, he was in Creepshow. But now he is the main character here, Alan, and he's good. Yeah. Everyone's good.
Everyone's good.
I don't have a complaint about any of the acting. I think the cast is stellar. I think Max von Sydow, obviously of Exorcist fame, he's phenomenal as Leland Gaunt. I think he's really imposing presence, and he's very believably persuasive. Yes. And like devilish. He
has this first I just want to say that the feel of this miniseries, even though I did not watch it when I was younger, it has like a nostalgia feel to me. It feels really comfy, and I just like that quite a bit. But also with him, he 100% feels like the kind of guy who would be able to convince like small town, like, you know, Americana type people of whatever. Like, he's just very persuasive and charming in that way. Like, I don't think I feel like if I was around him, I feel like I wouldn't be convinced by him, because I'd be like, you're square, I don't like you. But I think that a lot of, I don't know if I would actually say that, but I keep thinking of like people at the salon. Like, I keep thinking about like all of our clients there, and just thinking like he would totally convince them of anything. Like, Absolutely. He would be like, here, you need this freaking trinket, like this bell from when you were a child, and like,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. And he wouldn't even need magical powers.
No.
You could just come here and just say it was a crystal, and he'd probably get 90% of the people in Sedona to be like, how'd you guess? That's so specific to just me. Yeah. He sort of reminds me of Ian McKellen's performance in Apt Pupil, another Stephen King adaptation, and I think McKellen probably would have played this very similarly and probably just as well. But Max von Sydow is excellent as Leland Gaunt, and definitely a huge driving force for the film and why it works. But I really just want to give a good credit to how well this community feels and how much of the destructive nature of the town is upsetting, because this does feel like this kind of small, tight-knit community. And he really comes in there and is able to devastate their lives because people are easy to manipulate because of their fears and their prejudices. And we all have our weak spots, right? Sure. We all have the things that we, can be compromised by. And this is sad. It does have that storm of the century feel, right? Where you can come into town and you can know some secrets, right? Which is very similar to Leland Gaunt, right?
Yes.
Very similar. He knows how to expose things, right? He knows exactly what buttons to press. He puts Brian Rusk on the detail of throwing shit all over the laundry, and he knows exactly who hates who, right? He knows everything about people. And there is somewhat of a plot hole at the end of this movie kind of dealing with that, because he outright tells Alan at the end of the movie, like, I'll meet your grandson at this time, on this day, and this is basically like the day he's gonna die. It's gonna be a bad day for him, this and that. Like, he outright knows exactly what's gonna happen. Now, this could be probability factors, right? Like, where he has a pretty good indication of what's gonna happen, and because he's had so much experience with it, his probability is high, right? So he could just be bullshitting and guessing. Like, it's an educated guess because he's like, look, there's alternate versions of this, but this is the most likely event because he didn't come to Castle Rock to fail.
No.
Right? And he comes out and he says, this isn't my best work, not by a long shot. And it's like, people do have the choice, right?
Yes.
So he can't see a defined future, right? We know that because Castle Rock fails. If he just knew 100% a divine future, like he absolutely knew, right? Then that, A, wouldn't be fun for him, I don't think. And B, like, it completely makes it like, well, why did he come to Castle Rock for it to fail?
Yeah, I didn't take it that he was going to meet his son at his death. Or his grandson. I thought it was like, this is when I'm gonna meet him and give him something that he needs, because there was something that he said specifically that made me think it was like, this is when he's gonna be tempted by me and like, you know, show his weakness. But yeah, I mean, the battle of good and evil, like, he wouldn't know 100%, but he would have like a pretty good indicator that this town would be more likely than other towns to, you know, succumb to his powers or his temptation. But he doesn't account for Alan Pangborn, who, you know, like in the beginning, fairly early on, when Alan goes to the store, he's like, I have everything that I need. And Gaunt's like, oh yeah, like you do. Like he's not able to give him something because Pangborn is like content. He doesn't have any, you know, crazy things that he's like greedy or lustful or envious about, you know? He's like a genuine guy.
My take on that is not so much that Alan doesn't need anything. It's that Alan isn't corruptible, right? That's how I take it. I take it that everybody in the town, everybody wants something, right? Like everybody has something they desire. But Alan doesn't have anything he desires more than his morals. There's nothing that he values more than his
being a good
integrity, right? So like the reason his fiance is tempted is because she has something so crippling that she's willing to, take in what she knows to be a bad man, but she doesn't end up doing anything. She just really she has this affair with him in her head, but I don't think that actually happened.
I don't know.
And she doesn't do anything. She doesn't go out and skin someone's dog or anything, right? Like he is going to ask something of her, but I think he's just I think he's getting a kind of a twofer on this one. And I think what happens here is Alan pisses Leland off, right? He's like, the devil's mad that he's not corruptible. So he specifically targets his fiancée and seduces her with his power, right? Like, I can take your pain away, but I want you physically, right? I want you to be my woman, which I don't think he has really any interest in her in that way. I don't think that's the devil is temptation, right? And for him to put that into her, it's like he's stealing his girlfriend away, right? And he's planting money on him. He wants to hurt Alan.
Yeah,
right?
He's definitely doing it to hurt Alan.
Because he likes to inflict misery, and Alan is his main target on that. But he doesn't have much to go on, so he goes after the one thing that he loves.
Yes, but even though she doesn't do anything she's not going out and doing any of the acts like the other people are doing, she still does doubt him, and she kind of questions Alan and is like, I found the money and all that, so she believes Gaunt. And also the fact that she wants to not be in pain has made her willing to be open to whatever he calls the necklace, the magic, whatever miracle cure, so she's open to that, which is, I mean, again, it's her opening up to temptation, and she's kind of looking past her own as you said, like her own integrity. You know, like with Alan, where she's
looking past her own
intuition. It's her own intuition and rather her loyalty to her fiance. Because she should be on his team. She should believe him. She should have his back. You know, unless she's shown otherwise. And the only way she's shown otherwise is through somebody who is not 100% trustworthy. Like, she has no reason to trust Gaunt whatsoever. But she has every reason to trust her fiance.
Sure.
So, you know, I do think she still has a moral error.
Yeah.
You know, in the movie and in the story. So I don't think that she's 100% like without fault in this. Like, it's not like it's just happening to her. I think everybody that participates and takes something from the shop, like, they are corrupted.
Sure. But with hers to me is the only one that isn't just outright selfish. Like, hers to me is the most relatable by far.
Sure, I feel
because
like...
being in absolute agony and misery and being basically crippled, that is something that is going to be very hard to, you know, pass on.
Yes.
Right? Like, I suffer from severe anxiety, right? Like, I've had an anxiety disorder for 20 plus years, and it's crippling. It fucks up my brain, my body, everything. It brings my quality of life down to like 10% of what it should be. And if someone came around and was like, I'm going to give you this thing that's going to make you feel this way, he's going to take all your anxiety away, dude, that's going to be a really, really hard thing for me to not take. I mean, if they're like, we're going to kill your kids, I would be like, no. But if it was something else, it would definitely, I don't want to just outright say, I'd be like, oh, okay, no. Dude, it's hard. So with her, I totally get it. I totally get why she's doing it, because if you don't get it, you haven't lived through anything this terrible. Crippling.
For hers, I think hers is definitely the more understandable one. The rest of the people in the town, I'm kind of just like,
right.
You guys are like really lame.
A Mickey Mantle baseball card.
I mean, his is kind of like, he's a kid, and it's also a reminder of his father, so I can kind of get his as well. I think that one's understandable, but his mom, I'm like, with her whole Elvis statue in this. I don't know if that's in the book.
That's all new to this. That's all new to this. I don't remember anything about the Elvis statue in the original version. So Brian Rusk's mom, she gets a bust of Elvis, which I think she thinks is Elvis.
100% she thinks it's Elvis.
So because she's like in bed with it, and she's constantly wearing like the taking care of business sunglasses.
Yes. She's obsessed.
And she just sits there and she listens to the same song over and over and over again. And she just is having this romance with Elvis in her bed. So she literally sells out her son and everything to fuck the king.
Yeah, she does.
So, yeah, that one. But I don't remember. She's in it. Like, she's next to freaking dickhead.
The mayor?
Buster.
Yeah, Buster Keaton.
Buster Keaton. Danforth Keaton. She's next to him in the bar in you know, those scenes, because they can't cut that out. But her and, like, with the bust, I don't remember any of that in the film. So I think that's all new.
Yeah. Her stuff is really lame, like, as far as just, you know, she's just.
But I get it, like,
all of them. It's
like a celebrity crush.
Sure.
Like, if you were like single,
and
Leland Gaunt was like, you know, you can have whoever the hell. Did you ever say, like, did we do this? I thought we did this on something, like, where you're like celebrity crush. Didn't we do this recently?
We were talking
but you said it was characters.
Live stream. Yeah, it's not really
But it's never
celebrity.
like celebrities. But if it was a character.
Or like if Michael Myers was me, I'd be like, I married him. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, if you're like sad and lonely and single, or not even single, but just sad and lonely and obsessed with a certain celebrity.
Sure.
And Elvis is like the epitome of that infatuation, celebrity crush that so many people had and still have. You know, so I understand. I just think it's lame. Like, comparing it to somebody who has debilitating arthritis in her hands, like, that to me is like, you know, it's just totally different.
So,
but that's people, right? Like, people all have different levels of like what they want.
Well, my original question was going to be, when we started this, I forgot to ask. I already divulged mine. What is your needful thing? What's like the thing that would be like, I'll give you this, and it would be hard to turn it down?
I mean, the anxiety thing is definitely appealing. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that there's nothing. I know there is.
Mine is without question.
Like, I mean, it would maybe be either the anxiety, like you'd never have to feel anxiety again. That would be like, all right, that's cool. But if it was something like you and like your family, like the people that you care about, could live longer or like live forever without, you know, something like that, like you could guarantee, you know, that might be really appealing too.
Maybe help your brother, something like that.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, something that it's like feels impossible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. But no item.
No, there's nothing that I'm like, I want that so bad. There's tons of things I want, but not like that.
In this film and in the book and everything, like, I did read the book. So as far as the film goes, like, there's nothing really in the store that isn't deeply connected to something. Like, he's not just giving you like some Blu-ray that you're like, that you covet, right? It is connected to some deeper desire, meaning for you, right? Now, Buster's is just attacking his greed, right, and his addiction. He's a manic gambler, who wants to be seen as a winner. Right, that's really what it comes down to. He doesn't like when people call him Buster. He doesn't like when people are talking behind his back. Even though the Buster Keaton thing, like, I don't even know why he doesn't like that name. Like, his last name's Keaton, and so people call him Buster. Because he's funny. Like, people laugh at him behind his back because Buster Keaton was a comedian of the time when he was around. I don't know.
They're not taking him seriously.
Sure. So he wants to be like a winner that everyone takes seriously. Yeah. And it drives him absolutely insane that he can't be that person, right? You got the alcoholic who his best memories of his life is when he was in high school, right? He peaked in high school. This is the epitome of the jock who peaked in high school, and he wants his Letterman jacket back so that he can remember the glory days. Or, you know, the two religious guys in this. The priest and the pastor.
The Catholic priest and the like Christian pastor,
you know, one sees the Holy Grail, literally, and the other one is like a piece of the cross or something. What is it? I forget. Because I walked out into the kitchen when that happened. It's
like nude, like paintings and like I think it's like a statue thing. I don't remember exactly what he takes, but it's something that's like kind of profane.
Really? Okay. I literally got up to go into the kitchen when that scene happened, and I was trying to remember what it was. When I got back, I missed it. Okay. Yeah. I don't know that one then. It's just because
I don't remember exactly.
There's like a perversion.
Well, there's like a painting, like he takes them over, both of them, to these different corners of the shop, and the one that he takes the Catholic priest over to has like a cross, like a bunch of Catholic, like symbols and whatnot. But the one that he takes the pastor over to has like this painting of a naked woman and like some other things like that. Like, it's not really Christian symbolism. It's like sexual stuff. So I don't quite remember, because he goes out with like a smaller
Scully's
bag.
Dad?
Yeah, Scully's dad.
Yeah.
So, but he doesn't pick something religious.
I thought Scully's dad is the Catholic.
No, Scully's dad is the pastor. At least that's what I thought.
The other guy is the Catholic priest?
That's what I thought.
Oh, I thought it was the other way around.
Maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was.
Oh,
that,
maybe.
Yeah, the church that they go to is the Catholic Church.
Is it?
That's what I thought. I could totally be wrong. I don't know.
Fuck if I know.
I don't know why I decided that.
Catholic priests are the ones that wear the collar.
Yeah, but I didn't think that
But
Scully's dad was wearing a collar. And also when they're like praying.
I guess.
When they're praying, he's doing the Lord's Prayer and the Catholic priest is doing something else. And I just thought that the Christians do the right? It's the Lord's Prayer where it's like, He leadeth me beside the still waters. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death or whatever. That whole thing. I don't know.
It's all the same shit to me.
I don't know. But I did want to just say that I really like how Gaunt, he'll kind of casually say really secrets to people. Like with, is it Hilda? Or
what?
Helga? Or what's her name from the cafe? The one who has the dog.
Oh, friggin' Amanda Plummer.
How she will say they're talking about how her husband passed away, and he mentioned something about it's not murder, or murder's whatever, and he just says these things kind of really casually that people are they totally know that he shouldn't know those things.
Right.
But it's weird. Nobody calls him out on it. They kind of just he has that kind of mysticism to him, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he knows how to get through to people, right? And put them on his side. This is a tactic that they use in interrogations, where if they're trying to get some guy on a pedophilia rap or something, they'll sit down and talk with them, and they'll kind of go and they'll trick them into being get everyone out of the room, and then it's kind of between two guys. It's yeah, but I know she was 12, but I know she looks a little older or whatever, and I get it, I like it too. And then the guy's yeah, I do. You trick him into it, you get this kind of false bond.
Gaunt does that with Keaton especially, because he's they're after me too, or they're he buys into his paranoia.
Yeah.
Which,
yeah, he's they're so predictable.
Yeah, he's just super manipulative.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the devil.
He's the devil.
Literally.
Yep.
So there you go. Yeah, Buster being so pissed off over getting a ticket for parking in a freaking handicap spot.
I know.
This guy, he wants no laws to apply to him. He reminds me very heavily of someone, I'm not going to say who because I don't want to lose subscribers. But I think smart people can figure that one out. He's just a total narcissist who thinks that the laws don't apply to him. And he's a total fucking piece of shit. Anyways. And the Mickey Mantle card costs Brian 95 cents and throwing shit at laundry.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
I'll do that one. Even if it costs two women their life. Because that Mickey Mantle card now has got to be worth
oh my gosh,
an insane amount.
Yeah.
And let's see. We talked about a lot of things here.
I will say I hate the dog death. I was super upset, and it looks terrifying. It's really sad.
There's this really funny scene, which really just kind of speaks to how silly people are. Where and of course this is passive aggressive catty bullshit, but the two different, because when I think it's Norma, right? Isn't that the hillbilly chick's name?
Yeah.
And Addie and Norma, isn't that what it is?
The two women that are fighting. I think so, but I'm not 100%.
I think those are the names.
You're probably right.
I could be wrong.
You're probably right.
Whatever the hell they are. They have two different religious beliefs. So the pastor and the priest show up, and they're both praying over the bodies at the same time, and they're going at each other.
So lame.
Did you mention that?
Well, I was mean when they are saying their prayers, they're saying
oh, okay.
So I was I thought
I didn't
that
know
the
what
Christian
you meant then.
Yeah, that's what I was meaning.
That was your talking about.
Yeah, I thought that scene was like, it's so petty.
Yes.
It's like these ladies are dead and they're gonna still be arguing about their faith. Like, it's super. I mean,
just
it's
the arrogance of people. Like, oh no.
Yeah.
Yours is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Even though our shit's basically the same thing. And people would like scoff at them. Oh my God, we believe completely different things. No, you don't. Yeah. No, you don't. I don't know religion super, super well, but I know it well enough to know how fucking similar almost all of them are. So to be like 100%, I'm right and you're absurd for thinking what you think is the most, literally to me, the most arrogant, stupid thing you can do. Just respect other people's fucking beliefs. I don't care if they're atheists, Satanists, fucking whatever. You're not right. They're not right. Nobody knows. Just fucking believe what you believe. Let everybody else believe what they believe. And let's get the fuck on with our lives. And stop trying to get it into law and all these stupid things. You're not fucking right. Okay? You just think you're right. It's okay. Maybe you're right. But I'm just trying to say, you don't know you are. End of discussion. Sorry. It just pisses me off. It's such a waste of our time. And it gets so many people hurt. That's why. That's why it angers me so much. If it was just like petty like this, where two people are praying next to each other and one's trying to talk louder than the other one, right? And it's a kind of like a dick measuring competition or some kind of shit. Then fine, whatever. That pettiness is whatever. But literally people die. Thousands and thousands of people die every day because of, religious differences. And anyway, don't even get me started on that shit. It fucking angers me to no end. You're just guessing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I don't remember what I was going to say.
Sorry.
It's okay.
It's just them being petty and nothing. No.
Yeah, it's a funny scene. And, yeah. That was basically it.
Yeah. So, moving on from that. Little Brian tries to kill himself. That's sad. I mean, he just...
Super sad.
He at least feels terrible about what he does because he knows this is what gets those women killed.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so sad. That's like... And he's 11. So he's really young.
He seems older.
He doesn't look 11,
no,
but they say he's 11.
Yeah, I'm going to say 14.
He looks like 12, 13, 14 maybe, but
13, 14.
I felt very bad for him, and I'm glad that Pangborn is able to prevent him from doing that.
Yeah. I mean, in this scenario, then, with Leland knew Jesus, right? He outright explicitly says he knows Jesus.
Yeah.
So that eliminates a bunch of religions right there. Like, we know that these things ain't true.
Well.
Right?
No, the devil would have been around with Jesus.
No, I know. But I'm saying Jesus doesn't exist in a lot of religions.
Oh.
So that, because in this universe, where Leland and Gaunt exists, and he's the devil, that's number one. So there's a lot of religions that don't believe in the devil.
I guess you could still have, just because Jesus existed doesn't mean that, the Buddha didn't exist or, others didn't exist.
Now you're part of the Baha'i faith, who believes that they all existed at the same,
oh, no, I don't know.
Exist.
I'm just
Krishna and Buddha and Jesus walked into a bar? Walked into a Baha'i church?
I don't know.
Yeah. That's the Baha'i faith.
Just saying.
Yeah. Which I think is the most ingenious religion of all time.
Yeah,
because
it's
you're just
all of them.
You're covering your bases, right?
Sure.
It's Benny in the Mummy.
Oh my God,
and he does all the different.
He's praying in all the different languages. It's so good. So funny. Benny.
I don't blame him.
I want to watch that.
And how much is Benny like Dijon from DuckTales Treasure of the Lost Lamp? It's exactly the same character. He's the shitty little guide that, is betraying them behind their back the whole time. And every time he, gets a better deal, he sells anybody out for it. Yeah. I'm telling you, Benny is based off of Dijon from DuckTales. First time that's ever been said.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, somebody watched DuckTales Treasure of the Lost Lamp and was like,
let me base my character.
Yeah, I'm gonna write this character. Okay. And I keep checking to make sure it's recording, and I can't see because there's the low battery thing on there, so it sucks.
Oh, yikes.
Anyway, all right, what more can we say? Yeah. So here's a really silly nitpick, but Alan goes down into Gaunt's basement. And I guess Gaunt brings all of his stuff with him, which doesn't really make any sense. Like, why would he have newspaper clippings? Like, he came in a car. So they just warp there with him. Like, he doesn't have anything with him. His car blows up, but then it's fine at the end. So I don't know how this works. Like, why he has newspaper clippings in the basement. That's not the nitpick, because that's just magic, I guess.
Yeah, I was just...
But here's the thing that doesn't make any sense, magic or not. Alan has to go through about 15 newspaper clippings before he gets to Castle Rock. The Castle Rock 2 Dead Women one, which is under like stuff from the 30s and why would the Castle Rock one be in the middle? It would be the one on top. Okay?
Yes.
So that's the one he should have saw first to be like, oh, I know these women. That's what draws his attention to it, right? It's like, oh, like he kept this? That's fucked up. And then he goes, and then they should be, maybe in order from there. But it doesn't have to be in order from there. But that one should be on top. Why that would be in the middle, I can explain it, right? Like he likes to go through them. And he likes to like reminisce and look at all the things he's done in the past and then puts them back like randomly.
Yeah.
That could work. But realistically, I feel like it should be on top. It's the biggest nitpick of all time. It doesn't matter at all. It's not even a plot hole. I can't explain it away. I just, when I saw it, I was like, the Castle Rock one would be on top.
Yeah.
That's it. That was way too long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
No, it's okay.
I don't know what else you would say to that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know why I gave you like a moment. I'm like, thoughts? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, there you go. We're talking about that. I love how easy people in film are to knock out. This is the funniest trope, especially like when it's convenient. That's always when I find it funny. Because a dude in a movie, and I've seen this happen plenty of times, where a guy in a movie takes beating after beating, and no, not gay porn. He takes beating after beating, right? Like he fights with 50 guys in the movie, big buff freaking Samoan, Russian, freaking whatever the hell, right? Like Indiana Jones, right? The Raiders of the Lost Ark. He fights the big freaking German dude, and he's like punching his ass 1,000 times, right? But it's always like when they need them to be knocked out, right? Like the guy will like turn around when the dude's there and he doesn't know he's there, and then he turns around and he knocks him out in one punch, and it's like, I just saw him take 50 punches in the face from a jacked German freaking soldier. Yeah. 10 freaking minutes ago.
Right.
And now all of a sudden he turns around and some dude half his size knocks him out in one hit.
Yeah, it's movie logic.
It's movie logic.
It's like that's the straw that broke the camel's back.
I also like how not dangerous knocking someone out in movies is.
Sure.
Like I'll never forget watching Harry Potter and the the Chamber of Secrets. And Ron, and this is played for laughs, he just takes a rock and knocks Gilderoy Lockhart out.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, bro, you could kill him.
Yes.
There's like, magic or not, you could kill that guy hitting someone over the head with like a rock.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it's so funny to me that people do that all the time. I see it in kids' movies. I see it all the time. People just get knocked out like go to sleep. That is not putting you to sleep. That is literally like causing brain damage.
Yes.
Like, you are not getting knocked out without it causing some kind of damage. So knocking yourself out is not a good thing. Anyways, in this movie, the deputy that Buster knocks out, he knocks him out so easy. Yeah. He like knees him in the crotch or something and then like pushes his head into the door. Like just kind of like this. And he's like, I'm like, that's your cop? Knockout. That's the guy protecting your town? Oh, geez. Yeah. You guys are screwed. Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. And he also comes and he attacks that deputy. Like in the bathroom. He grabs him by the ears and pulls him around inside. You're kind of fucking like, You know how crazy you have to be to go into a police station and assault a cop and get away
that's
with it?
Right? He thinks that the rules don't.
He does get away with it, though.
Yeah.
Alan's like, you touch one of my officers again, this and that. No, arrest him right now.
Yeah. He even says, like, you guys can just kill each other.
Sure.
Or is that in that fight?
No, it isn't that one. Or maybe not.
It might be in the other one. But
no,
I
think it is in that scene, though. He's like,
why don't you guys
stop!
Kill each other and I'll arrest whichever one's alive.
Yeah, I think that is in that scene.
And they're just like,
makes sense.
What?
Right?
That's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to prevent the murders.
Yeah, like Minority Report. Never seen it. Do you even know what it's about? With Tom Cruise?
Nope.
He works for this bureau where these, like, kids who can see the future, they have these, like, enslaved seers that can, like, see into the future, and they predict crime.
Oh.
And the Minority Report cops go out and prevent crimes before they arrest people before they commit murders.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's a great film.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah, we should watch it. I love it. I love all Tom Cruise movies, besides The Mummy. But everything else he's ever made, it's amazing. Anyway, and I've seen every film he's ever done. Anyway, that's, I don't know more I can say. We talked a lot about everything. I like when Gaunt's like, no, don't talk about God on my time.
Oh, yeah.
That was a good line.
Yeah, it was
the double shotgun scene. Yeah, I don't know. I wrote down a ton of shit. And I like that the devil very much outright expresses here and points out, like, the reason that God lets me exist is to make him look good. Which I actually like this explanation, because I've stated many, many times, and I stick to this, that there are no heroes without villains. Right? Like, there's contrast to life, right? Like, there are no good days without bad days. Yeah. If you had nothing but wonderful days your whole life, trust me, eventually you would completely take them for granted and eventually get bored.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you just had this perfect, ideal life from beginning to end, you would get bored. Now, at this point in my life, if I had nothing but amazing days from here on, I think I would be okay. I've had enough bad days to where now from here on I could be okay. Now, if I'm like Edward Cullen, if I'm a vampire, we just watched Twilight with my kids, and I live for thousands of years, I think eventually you're going to kind of forget your past. Yes. Once you get far enough out from it. So I don't know. But, like, because I'm immortal and mortal, not immortal, I think because of the time I have, I probably have, 40 or 50 years at best left. I think I could have an amazing time the whole rest of my life. Mm-hmm. Would I start to take it for granted? Maybe, I think.
Maybe.
Yeah, after like 30 years of just everything's amazing, everything's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, sunshine all the time makes a desert, so yeah, you can't have the good without the bad.
I like that. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so I like that. I like that, like, because the big, the question always is like, if God exists, why doesn't he just, defeat the devil? And I've never heard a good excuse, right? Because why, if God loves you, would he allow you to burn? Don't get me started on religion. But, like, I like this.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't make God sound great, but I do like this answer of, like, contrast and ego.
Well, like, and it also, I mean...
and it makes you appreciate things where I don't know.
But it also does make God look bad, which is, like, what his point, like, part of the purpose is, right? Is, like, that's why he's saying it.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
To kind of, like, throw shade on him. Like, he literally lets me exist so that he looks better.
The truth hurts.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
So.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, there's some good timing on that bomb in the church.
Oh, yes.
It's always got to be during that big bombastic moment. And then it blows up behind him.
Yeah, it was really good timing.
Reminds me of the scene in The Professional, Leon, when he turns around. And it gets that real close up, like right here. And it blows up behind him. I fucking love that movie. And I really like Alan's speech that he gives the town at the end when he's yelling about Gaunt, and he's talking about like what it was your needful thing, and like we're better than this, and he really like you can see like the priest and the pastor like shake their head, and they kind of come out of their daze, and everyone in the town starts to admit to the things they've done, and it's like, you're not bad people, you were just seduced. And that's just it. Like, this is something as like people that we need to understand is like, you know, are there bad people? There are people, right? And people can do bad things, right? But people, unless they've done things that are unforgivable, and that's up to your discretion to see what that, you know, what that is. But I think that, you know, as far as like the other side, right? Like if you're talking about like political differences or religious ideologies or ideological differences, like, you have to understand people's like motives, and you have to understand people's upbringings, and you have to understand there's so much context to people. People are so much deeper and richer, but people generalize because it's easier, because it's simple and it's quick and it's you know, palatable to them, because putting deeper thought into something takes too much time, it takes too much effort. And so like with something like this, you know, you have to look at the factors at play. You have to look at the influences. You have to look at the whole situation. You know, you have to look at it three-dimensionally. And that can be hard for people. And Alan is able to, you know, discern for himself through the events of that these people aren't bad, that they've just been exposed to the darkness within, right? And we all have it. And he's able to kind of snap these people out of it by reminding them of like, this isn't who you are. This is who you've been made because of the things that you want, right? And so that, to me, I thought that he did really well. And I think that the way that he's able to break through to people, and the way that he's able to see the situation, and the way that he's a force for good against evil, without it being cheesy, without him throwing a bunch of like cliche lines. I thought it was well written, and I thought it was well performed, and I thought the contrast of Gaunt in the background kind of like trying to manipulate people back in, but really heavily exposing his hand because of his arrogance, was done super well.
Yeah, I really like the ending. I think, I mean, I don't really want to repeat anything that you said. But yeah, people are in black and white, and I think that I really like that Alan is able to kind of show forgiveness. I think it's, like you said, a good contrast to Gaunt in the background, and it was a really satisfying ending.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think we should probably just make it that. Danforth, Buster Keaton, when he's the one who like kills Gaunt. Gaunt doesn't die, but you know, he gets through to him, and then of course I don't know why Gaunt, and I think this is more of the arrogance thing. I don't know why he would start calling him Buster, because he knows that's what pisses him off. And it's so obvious when he says it the first time. You're like, oh, that's it.
Yeah. Like,
you know, Danforth's done with this shit now. I like the phone call though. Like, I killed my wife. Am I a bad person? Mm-hmm. Like, I feel sorry for Buster. Sure. I do. He's mentally ill, man. Like, he's truly mentally ill. And Gaunt exposes this. And this is classic King, right? This is super King. I've seen this done plenty of times before. My prime example is Trash Can Man from The Stand. This is classic King. He takes someone who's very mentally unwell, and he gets this leader to follow, and this person will do anything for them, you know. And we get that in that. We get it in It,
Well,
right?
I would say it's not even just like a leader to follow. It's just that like any of the mentally unwell people are just much more easily influenced by evil.
But it just feels super similar. Like Trash Can Man and Buster Danforth in this feel super similar in the end, right? They have the bomb. They're like all for you kind of thing. And they turn on him in the end because, well, I guess with Trash Can Man, that's not really what happens. But regardless, everything leading up to that point, I just feel like that's very classic King. So anyway, that's that. I keep thinking I'm done. And then I keep, yeah. Oh, I like that Gaunt walks out. That's another thing I do want to talk about. He walks out of the fire with the handcuffs. I thought that was funny because, there's nothing left of Gaunt, Danforth, but Gaunt's totally fine, right? For the second time now, he's survived explosions with no markings, right? Like he can't be killed. But what I really like about this scene, and this is something wildly different than most movies I've ever watched, and wildly different than most horror movies I've ever watched, right? When Michael Myers gets shot, right, he falls off the balcony, Loomis comes to look, and he's mysteriously gone. Or a worse movie, way worse movie, like Halloween Resurrection, where Michael is burnt and he's, kung fu kicked, all that bullshit, and he's dead, right? But then he goes to the hospital. Same with Terrifier, right? Where he's in the morgue and then he comes to life and it's that last minute pop up and he pretends to be dead and then the last second, like the killer reveals himself to be alive for the sequel or whatever. And it's always unbeknownst to the other characters. I love the outright arrogance, right? Because a lot of the movies like this would have him die. The town would be like, we defeated him, and they'd go on, and then it would like show in some other city or like show the ashes of the house and like it moves and the hand starts to come up and it's like, oh, you don't know that the killer's still alive. Oh, like, you thought you beat him, but he's still here. He's coming back for you, or he's going to continue his wicked ways or whatever. No, Gaunt just comes right on out. Yeah, right? He just walks right out and he's just like laughing. Like, I almost got you guys. And like, this wasn't my best work. And like, but I'm the devil. I don't die. And like, I'm just going to outright show everybody that I am indestructible and that you didn't beat me. I love it. It's such a different ending than 99% of horror movies I've ever watched.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like you said, he's the devil. Like, he is indestructible. Yeah. And they don't win. So, like, they might think that they kick him out, but they still lost a bunch. They lost people.
They lost a bunch, but they won 100%.
They won, sort of.
They defeated the devil.
But they didn't, though, because they didn't 100% defeat him. They just drove him out of their town, which is not the same thing as defeating the devil. Like, I disagree. 100%.
I disagree. He left because he was defeated.
He left because they decided not to be corrupted by him
anymore.
Correct,
so they defeated him.
That doesn't mean that there aren't other people in the world that that will still be corrupted by him.
But Castle Rock defeated him. This group of characters.
That's why I'm saying that they did in a way, but they didn't 100%. Like,
they didn't defeat him. They didn't vanquish him.
Yeah.
Right? They didn't vanquish their foe.
As you said,
they defeated him as far as they won, is what I'm saying. He lost this round.
Yeah.
And now he's going to go win in another town. But for now, Castle Rock won the fight, right? Because his aim in the game was to kill everybody. He wanted the whole town to burn itself down. He only got a few people to kill them. Like, either kill them, try to kill themselves, corrupt them to some level. Now, will they have lingering issues?
Yeah, I was going to say.
For years to come.
The aftermath.
I will tell you that they'll have now, this would be tough because now the devil exists. Now religion is real, like this specific religion, whichever one you want to equate it to, I don't know. But whatever it is, you now subscribe to that because it's right. And now you have to wonder, I did this shit for the devil. Does he have my soul? Am I going to hell? Right? So now you got to live with that, and hell probably exists. like much more than we now know. So now you got to live with that, and that's scary, right? So that's the scariest thing is like, what are the repercussions of this when I die? And now I have to live with that for the rest of my life. With the things that I did, I skinned this dog, I fucking whatever.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Even though he's dead, right? They kill each other in the bar, and he's probably in hell. But the people who did things, no, you know, I don't feel like anyone, like, the skinning the dog is the worst.
Sure.
Right? That's the worst one. For a jacket? Like, bro, what? Like, I wouldn't do it for anything. But, for a jacket? But I'm just saying, like, what people do, it's like, oh, I planted some money on the cop, or, like, I threw some shit on some laundry, or, like, the things they're doing aren't that bad. It's the repercussions of what it led to. But, like, if someone was like, I'll take your anxiety away, you have to go egg someone's house. Fuck. I'll egg every house in this town. Yeah. Right? Like, that's basically the level of shit that he's doing in this movie. Like, throw some rocks through some windows. Okay. For my anxiety, 100%. I will break every window in this town.
It doesn't just stop there, though, which is what he does with the kid, with Brian.
Yeah.
You know, like, he kind of starts escalating things more and more, and he gives him the gun.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like you might start with just egging a house.
Sure.
But then, you know, eventually, like, he
I'm just saying, with living with what you've done,
yeah,
all the dude has to live with is, I planted money on the sheriff, and the sheriff told me I'm good. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. So he's pretty good. I'd say he's fine. Right? Yeah. Right? Like, the people who did the really bad shit, like, blew up the church, skinned a dog, that stuff, those people are dead.
Yeah.
They don't have to live with that shit. But everybody else, kind of had petty things. This was a really long discussion. We're done. It's a 3-hour movie. And we had a lot of deeper themes to discuss. So I think we did a good job. Mm-hmm. I had a good time. It was a long one, though. I usually don't like videos to be this damn long. But hopefully someone stayed. Please comment in the comments that you stayed for the whole video. That makes me feel like this was worth our time. And every single time I've ever said that, and in the time that I've done the channel, 100% of the time, someone always comments. I stayed through the whole thing. So there's always one, at least. So we love you guys, and Dark Half next. We'll get to Return to Salem's Lot, but because Alan Pangborn is in it, and I've not done it on the channel, we should do it. Okay?
All right.
That's that.
We'll do it.
Speaking of love, I love you.
I love you.
And I love you guys. All right. But I love her differently. Way differently. And I love this little son of a beep, 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 beep. I wouldn't skin you for nothing. Nothing. If anybody skinned you, whoa, they get it. They get it. All right, guys.